Welcome to the Experiential Education course for Cooper College. We are going to do Module 1, Lesson 1 tonight, which will be the general explanation of what experiential education is and how it differs from academic experience. It's part of our total experience. If you add the academic experience of your life to the actual life experiences of your job or things you have done in life, then you get your total life experience. And you need both of these components in order to have a better chance of succeeding in entry-level positions. Um, let's discuss some of the problems that are definitely part of the experience for Chinese students at Chinese universities, such as Jimei University and Yunnan University of Finance and Economics, and Anyang University, and other universities within China. Um, they all have very, very similar problems. And the first similar problem that they all have is Gaokao. Gaokao is a useful test that measures math and language skills for Chinese students, and it also dictates where they'll be able to go to school, if they'll be able to go to a college or a specialty college, or if they qualify for one of the really best colleges in the country. Um, Regardless of the results of Gaokao, too much weight is placed on this standardized test. um, all standardized tests tend to eliminate a lot of life experience knowledge. So that Gaokao and the SAT, for example, and even the GRE, these tests have value, but they only have value in the academic area. They really don't have a lot of value in the life experience area. For example, if you've had a job as a bank teller during the summer for an internship for Bank of China, that's a life experience. That's not going to be on your Gaokao test. That's not going to be on your SAT test, and it's not going to be on your GRE either. So, um, how do we solve some of the problems that confront us as college students when we have to apply for an entry-level job at a multinational company? Well, as I mentioned before, Gaokao is one problem, but the second problem is community colleges. The United States has a very large community college system with many colleges throughout all 50 states. China, on the other hand, doesn't have a community college system. They may have one or two or three, but we're talking about 1.5 billion people, and they only have a half a dozen community colleges. It's not going to be able to service the average college student. Um, so how does the student bypass the community college problem, and why is not having a community college a problem in the first place? Well, a community college generally prepares you for a 2-year program, and then you take 60 credits and you transfer them to a senior college school or university. If you're not happy with your major, you're able to change your major when you go to the 4-year university after 2 years, and you're still able to transfer a lot of the basic coursework from community colleges, such as English composition and basic mathematics and maybe sociology and a few other basic courses. Um, China doesn't have this in their educational system, and it's a major weakness in their system. Um, what this does is it takes the Chinese student, the average Chinese high school student, and it puts them in this very narrow corridor where you take the Gaokao test and you scored high on math and not so high on language. So you're going to go to accounting school. You're going to go to a math university or maybe a science university. Um, Maybe you're not interested in math. Maybe you're not interested in science, but that doesn't really matter in this particular system. In the Gaokao system, you go where you qualify, not for what you're interested in. Community colleges help break up that problem, but China doesn't have community colleges, so we can't have it. Um, the other problem is that even if you did have a community college system, you'd have the problem of transferring credits. In the United States, it's relatively a simple thing to transfer credits from a community college to a four-year university. You might not be able to transfer all your credits, but you'll be able to transfer most of them, and especially the basic ones like basic math, basic English, sociology, history, and things like that. But in a Chinese university, that's not possible. You can't transfer from one Chinese university to another Chinese university without great difficulty. In fact, you can't even live in one Chinese city and move to another Chinese city without great difficulty. You have to apply with the local bureaucracy to move from one city to another. And just moving from one city to the other requires a great deal of work, whereas transferring credits from one university in a Chinese university to another Chinese university, that's virtually impossible. And it's very difficult to do. So all three of these problems are faced by the average Chinese college student. And these are pretty much all academic problems. Um, how can the average Chinese student um, overcome these problems and actually major or get a job in an area that they're actually interested in and that they're enthusiastic about? Well, there are ways to do that, and I'm here hopefully to help you go from A to B and get you started on something that you may be really interested in rather than something that you have to do or that your parents might want you to do or your brothers and sisters think this is a good idea, your friends think this is a good idea. What it really boils down to is what do you think is a good idea? What do you think makes you happy? Are you following your bliss? To paraphrase a great American educator who said that the most important thing in education is to follow the things that you like to do. So we're going to try and do that, and let's see if we can move on to the next problem area. Okay, so we've established that academic experience in China has its problems, and you're going to be stuck in this, major. You're going to major in something that you may like, or you may major in something you really don't like. And majoring in something that you don't care for, you don't like, can be a very tiresome process, depressing and emotionally draining. It's just not a good situation to be in. So, how do we get out of this situation if we are the average college student in China and we're trying to find um, a situation where we can be happier? Well, one of the first things you can do is develop a good e-portfolio, which is an electronic portfolio. It has a resume and your examples of what you can do on a PowerPoint presentation and examples of what you can do for a video creation and another example of what you can do for website analysis, analyzing the company website to see if there are weaknesses in it, and almost every company website does have weaknesses. So, but before we get to that, that is a life experience. An internship is extremely important to your development in your overall experience. So you must try to get an internship in an occupation that you're really interested in. If you're really interested in accounting and banking, then you should get a job with a bank and volunteer, work for free, dress up on Saturday, put in your 3 hours. They'll be glad to have you because companies love to have workers who work 3 hours for free. They don't have to pay you, and you're there. You're young. You're good looking. You're doing work, and they're happy to have you there. So that type of internship is good for your resume, but it also gives you a life experience that you didn't have in academia. You're not going to get that experience from a book. There's a big difference from book knowledge and practical knowledge. And you have to be able to incorporate the book knowledge, which is useful. Definitions and principles, they're useful. But you have to have some life experiences incorporated with those book knowledge experiences. And the internship is the situation that allows you to go into a working situation, gain experience uh, about leadership, notice the people who are the leaders of the bank, what makes them a leader, why are their words so important and other people's words are not that important, what makes a good leader, maybe you can see traits in this person that you could emulate and become a future leader. But that's another subject area. What we're really concerned about right now is the internship process and developing your e-portfolio. If you can develop your e-portfolio, then you'll be able to show a company uh, how valuable you are in an entry-level position. Let's be realistic. Most BA students at best will only be able to get an entry-level position with any type of company, especially in the financial area. Excuse me. So the MBA students will have an advantage on you. PhD students will have an advantage on you, and you will have to have something extra in order to get these entry-level positions. So, what can you show the human resources person who's in charge of hiring or giving an interview for that matter? Um, you have to have this electronic portfolio on a USB. You should have 6 files, 6 or 7 files, and these should be examples of what you can do. And they should be examples that are connected with um, multinational companies. There are plenty of multinational companies to look at. Find one that you're interested in. Find one that you really want to work for. Find an occupation that you really want to do. In lesson 3 of this module, we're going to do a questionnaire and an evaluation of that questionnaire, which is going to examine some of the things that you're really interested in and some of the things you might be good at that, maybe your friends know a little bit more about you than you do. Maybe your friends think that you're really great at tech, or maybe your friends think you're really great at writing. And you can use these things if you're interested to get an internship. But you have to have an e-portfolio that shows potential employers that, yes, I am good at this, and here are examples of what I can do. So, for tonight, we'll stop here for an introduction to experiential education. And in our next lesson of Module 1, we're going to cover the questionnaire. And the questionnaire will examine questions like what are your favorite subjects and what do you think you're good at? What do you enjoy doing? Have you ever had a job in another area outside of your major? Are you happy with your major? Do you want to change your major? And other questions. But we'll get into that when we begin lesson 2. So tune in next time for lesson 2. Until then, I'm signing off until the next lesson, and hopefully we'll get together again. Take care.